Hi everyone, welcome to Rain Francis Art for Kids. My name is Rain. In this series, Monsters and Legends, that's what we're going to draw. Lots of monsters and lots of legends, so let's draw. Today I'm going to show you how to draw these fun little monsters, so let's begin. This is what you'll need for today's drawing. You're going to need a piece of paper. I have a dollar store drawing pad here. It's 8.5 by 11 inches wide. You're going to need a pencil, an eraser, and if you have an old paintbrush that you've never used to paint with, this works really well to wipe all the dust off your page. I got this at the dollar store. Now today I am going to be using markers. You could use coloring pencils if you like, you could use crayons, but I've decided I'm using markers today. So the colors that I'll be using are, purple, blue, yellow, and red, and these are Sharpie markers here. You can use any marker you want. I do, however, have a fine liner black marker. It's a fine tip, meaning that it's a small tip. If you look at the difference between a Sharpie and the fine liner, you see the fine liner? It's much smaller. So if you only have Sharpies, you could use a black Sharpie. But if you have a thinner marker that's black, I suggest you use that, or dark blue would be fine too. But we're going to use this to outline. So let's begin. Let's get all that dust off the page. Now I'm going to show you what we're going to do first. We're going to draw our monsters with pencil, and then we're going to outline them. I'm going to use my black fine liner marker. You can use any marker you want. I would suggest black or dark blue, like I said, and a fine tip. And then what I'm going to do, and this is optional, I'm going to erase all of my pencil marks. Okay? Now, in order to erase your pencil marks after you've outlined everything with marker, you have to make sure that your marker is dry. Now, I'm just going to show you something. You don't have to do this, but I'm going to show you a whole bunch of different markers that I have here. Okay? And I have all blue colors, and I have my fine liner. All right? I have a Crayola, which I got at the dollar store. I have what's called a Studio. I got this one at the dollar store too. I have a Paper Mate, which is a thin kind of marker. I have my Sharpie, and I wrote down Staedtler because that's the brand, Staedtler. That's the one I always use, the fine tip edge, okay? Now, if you're drawing something and then you outline it and you want to erase your pencil, you have to make sure that your marker is dry first. So you have to test your markers, okay? So I'm going to show you the differences. This is the Crayola one. If I draw in with my Crayola, or I do an outline, and I go in and I take my eraser and I erase. If I'm erasing very lightly, it's okay, but if I erase hard, look what happens. It's too wet, so you have to let this dry before you can erase it. Okay, and I don't know how long it's going to take to dry. That's something that you're going to have to test on your own. Maybe you could do that before we start the lesson today. Now here's the Studio marker. Okay, this is the one I got at the dollar store. It has two edges. It has sort of a soft edge that they call a paintbrush edge, and it has a fine tip edge. And I'm going to go in and do the same thing. I'm going to try to erase. First very lightly, and that's okay, very lightly. But if I press hard, the same thing happens. Look, my page gets ripped. So you got to be careful of that. And now I have my Paper Mate. We're going to do the same example. This is like a regular marker that a lot of people might have at home. We're coloring it in. And then I'll just do a shape. And let's test it with our eraser. If we go very lightly, seems to be okay. But if we go really hard, same thing happens. We rip the page. So you have to be careful again to let your ink dry. Now the Sharpie I already know is okay. The Sharpies dry extremely fast. So I can go ahead right away and press down hard. But look at that. Okay? It's fine. And now, this one here, which is my Staedtler, the one I use all the time, I know that I need to let this dry just a little bit, you know, a few minutes, not even a few minutes, a few seconds, but I can go in and start erasing very lightly. Okay, and if I erase hard, I know my marker is fine because it just needs a few seconds to dry. Okay, so maybe what you can do is whatever marker you have, you can take a scrap piece of paper and do this little exercise. Try to erase it right away and see what happens. And then do another line, like for example, the Crayola. We already know what happens when we try to erase right away. So what happens if we wait a few minutes or if we blow on it to try to dry it? Lightly, we're okay. If we just go really lightly, we're okay. And if we start pressing harder, it seems to be okay as long as we give it a little time to dry. Okay, so test your markers before you start erasing them, my friends. I hope that you learned something from that. Now what we're going to do is we are going to begin to draw our monsters. This is going to be a really, really fun drawing to do. We're going to draw 2 monsters, okay? So let's start with the first one. He's going to be like a fuzzy guy. So just have fun and do a fuzzy shape. It doesn't have to be round. It doesn't have to be square, triangular, whatever shape you want to give it. And remember, we're going to be erasing all of this after we outline it. Okay, so that's our fuzzy outline of our first monster. And this one is going to have one eye. So right in the middle, we're going to do a big oval eye. And down here, that oval pupil, the one I always like to do. We're going to give him a nice big eyebrow. Now let's draw a smile on him. Big smile, because he's a friendly monster. And we can give him some cheeks. That's just putting little semicircles at the edge of the smile. That makes it look like he has cheeks. And we're going to give him some teeth, but we'll put it on the top of the smile. That makes it look like it's kind of coming up from the bottom of his mouth. Okay, and we'll give him some legs. Just some legs like this. Okay, and why don't we give him some arms? Very easy arms. Maybe he's got just 3 fingers. And he's got both arms up in the air. He's a happy monster. Okay, so that's our first monster. And our second monster is going to be a little different. Watch what I'm doing. He doesn't have any feet, so you can draw him all the way down to the bottom. I'm just doing kind of a ghost type of shape, like this. And the bottom is going to be all squiggly lines. That's his body. Now he has funny eyes. Watch what I'm going to do here. Almost looks like a lollipop. We're going to draw a little thin rectangle and then a really big circle because his eyes are on the outside of his body. And we're going to draw another circle just like this to make it kind of close to the edge. It almost looks like a magnifying glass, doesn't it? And then another circle right in the middle. That's his eye. And then one more little circle here. And you'll see when we color it all in how neat that's going to look. And we'll give him a second eye, but this one, got some dust there. This one's going to be a little smaller. So let's do another rectangle, but let's do a smaller eye. Well, it's not that much smaller. It's a little smaller. You can do it the same size, or you can even do it bigger if you want. But we're going to do the same thing. Another circle here to kind of make it look like there's an edge around his eye. And then another circle right in the middle. And then a small circle right here. Kind of looks like an olive, eh? Now let's give him a really big smile. He's got a really big smile. Just like that. And he's got a couple of teeth, and we're going to make little triangle teeth. Just 2 teeth. And do a little semicircle here. That's going to give the idea that that's his tongue. And when we color it all in, you'll see. Let's give him some cheeks too, because he's pretty happy. He seems pretty happy. 2 little semicircles at the edge of his mouth. And last but not least, let's give him some arms. I'm just doing circles. Not circles, but like little ovals. And I'm going to do one that's going up this way, because he's kind of waving at us too. Okay, so our monsters are all outlined. Let's go ahead and take the marker of your choice. I'm taking my fine-tipped black marker and outline everything that we just drew. Okay? And don't worry if you don't get it exactly, because like I said, we're going to erase all of the pencil. And depending on your marker, I hope you did the marker test, you'll have to decide how long it's going to take for your ink to dry before you start to erase it. Okay? I'm just going in and I'm outlining everything. And like I said, I'm not paying too much attention to detail because I know I'm going to be erasing all of my pencil marks. We draw in pencil first because you can't really erase ink. Well, you can erase ink like this, but it looks really bad. But you know what I mean. Once you draw something in ink, you can't really erase it. You know what I decided just now? I initially put 3 teeth. I just want him to have 2 teeth. So I'm just going to give him 1 on either side, and I'm going to erase the one in the middle. I'm not even going to outline that because I just want him to have 2 teeth. How you guys doing? Okay, so my first monster is all outlined. And I'm going to go ahead and outline the second guy. I'm going to start with his eyes, those big, funny looking eyes. Lots of circles today. You're getting a lot of practice with circles. These are fun little drawings to do, these little monsters, and you could make more of them. Take different shapes, put 1, 2, 3 eyes if you want, give them funny smiles, lots of fun colors. You can make monsters look really cool. They don't have to have feet, they don't have to have arms. They should have at least 1 eye. And I would always give them a nice smile. There we go. All right. I think they look so cute. All right, I'm going to let this dry for just a few moments so that I don't rip my paper and so that the ink doesn't bleed all over the place, and I'll give you a little time to catch up. And in the meantime, what I'm going to do is, when I was erasing before, you see I got a little blue marker on my eraser, so I'm just going to go and start erasing that off so I don't get any of that blue on my page. If you guys need some time to catch up, because I know I did that pretty fast. I'm so used to doing all these outlines, and I want you guys to take your time and have fun. Just getting my eraser all fixed up here. Okay. So are we ready to erase? Did you give enough time for your marker to dry? If you did the test and you need to give your marker a little longer to dry, just pause the video, wait 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 minutes, however long you need to, and then press play again and we'll start erasing, okay? So here I go. I'm going to very lightly erase all of my pencil marks. Including that extra tooth there that I gave him. You can keep 3 teeth if you want. I just decided I only wanted to give him 2 teeth. I know that my marker is dry because I've used it. I use that marker every single day when I'm drawing. So I can press down a little harder with my eraser. There, my first guy is ready to go. Let me get this one. All those little bits on the eraser, they get stuck under the eraser sometimes, you see? I always pick them off and brush them off. Oops, I'm erasing a little too hard. That noise you heard, those were my lights. I don't want them to fall over because I'm erasing so hard. So as you can see, I did this with black, but you could use a dark blue if you want. It just should be a little darker than the color that you're going to use to color in the monster so that it shows. All right. I think I'm all done here. Let's just get rid of all those eraser bits. Wonderful. Are you ready to put some color in? Let's start with this monster here. Now I'm taking my yellow marker and I'm going to color in his arms and his legs. Okay? And with marker, it's super easy. I always usually draw with coloring pencils. And it takes a little longer to do the coloring in with the pencils than it does with the markers. So I'm going to do his legs and his arms yellow. The only thing I don't like about markers is that I think they stink. I don't like the smell of them. Okay. I think I'm also going to do his teeth yellow. There we go. He has yellow teeth. Funny, a monster with yellow teeth. All right, and right away I'm going to color in that pupil with black. I pulled out my black Sharpie just because it's a thicker tip and it's a larger space. Do you see the difference? This is so thin and this is thick, so the thicker marker will work well for a larger area. I have so many markers. Now when I'm doing things like this, I like to outline them and then color on the inside. That helps me to stay in the lines. There we go. His eye is all colored in. Now I've decided that this monster is going to be purple. So I'm going to color in the whole monster except for that eye. Everything's going to be purple. And because he's kind of got that what do you call it? Sort of a jagged, hairy kind of body. I'm going to be careful not to go outside the lines, but if I do, that's fine. You see what I do? I outline like that, and then I color it in. I just find it's easier that way. It gives me a guide to know where to color in. And I have gone outside the lines a little bit, but I don't care. I just want to have fun today drawing my monsters. And I'm starting with all of the edges first. And I'll come in and color in the rest after. Now if you're using coloring pencils, I want you to make sure to turn your pencil once in a while so that you don't wear it all down on one side. Same thing if you're using crayons. Turn it once in a while like this as you're coloring so you don't wear it all down on one side. And with coloring pencils, I mention this in a lot of my drawing videos, you don't need to press down too hard. Same with markers, you shouldn't have to press down too hard. But with coloring pencils especially, don't press down too hard because you can always color it in a second time with coloring pencils. That's called adding a second layer. You color it in once. That's your first layer. And I'm talking coloring pencils now, not markers. Just talking to those people who are using coloring pencils right now. Color it in once, very lightly. That's your first layer. And then when you're done, you color it in a second time, and that's your second layer. And you can do 3, 4, 5, as many layers as you want to get the color that you want. Okay? But if you're using markers like I am today, we don't have to worry about layers, because we always usually get the color we like with the marker right away. There. Now what I'm going to do is carefully go around his eye and his teeth. And then I know I can color around those areas. Okay, so now I'm just going to fill in the marker, and I'm going to go very slowly and just color it all in with my purple. This is an old marker, so I hope I have enough ink in it. I don't use my markers too much. All right, he's looking really good. What do you guys think? Are you liking the monsters today? Did you make your monster happy like mine? Or did you give him a frown? I'm just going to be real careful here. I don't want to get the purple into his eye or into his teeth. Now, if you find that you're coloring and all of a sudden, look what happens. Oh gosh, it's too light. It's not as vibrant. What you can do is just put your marker down and wait a little bit. Give it a break, because sometimes the ends of the markers get a little dry. If you're using it on a large space, there's not enough time for the ink to come down and get that tip full of ink. So if you give it a little time and you come back, usually you can get the color that you want again. If you have a new marker, well, then you don't have to worry. You've got a lot of ink. But like I said, I have old markers here, so sometimes I have to give them a break before I continue using them. Now, if we had not erased our pencil, you probably would see a lot of pencil marks that got all smudged all over your monsters. So that's why I think it's important to erase your pencil marks when you're coloring with markers. All right, my purple monster is done. That was a little light area here. Okay, so now I'm going to work on my blue man. My blue man. Now what I've got here is just a blue Sharpie, and I'm hoping that I have enough ink in it. Now watch what I'm going to do. I'm not coloring in the entire eye. I'm coloring in that little outline. Watch. I'll show you the area that I'm coloring in just around the outside and the stem. I'm going to leave all of that white in there for now, okay? So you can go ahead and do the same thing. Whatever color you chose, if you chose a blue, just make sure you outline all that with your marker so that he's got some color on the outline of his eye. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing with this one here. And it's okay if you go outside the lines. Don't worry too much about that. He's still going to look pretty scary. Now, what I'm going to do right away, I'm going to finish up the eye. I want you to color in with black everything in that little circle except for, okay, just watch. I'm going to say too many little circles. This whole area that looks like an olive, except for that little mini circle we made on the inside. Let me finish and then I'll show you. You see what I mean? Leave that second part of the eye white, black, white. So blue, white, black, white. And do the same thing here. Leave that little circle in the middle white. You see how that looks? All right. Now before we start all the blue, I think I'm going to grab my yellow color and make his teeth yellow also. I'm just going to color in his teeth yellow. There we go. How are you guys doing? Now I've got my red, and I'm going to color in his tongue. Like I told you, I always outline, and then I color in. For me, it's just easier that way. It helps me not to go outside of the lines when I'm coloring. Okay. Now the inside of his mouth is going to be black. So let's take our black and watch. I'm going to outline the area that I want you to color in. Try not to get any black on his tongue or in his teeth or outside of his mouth. I want you to take your time doing this. Okay, so all of that inside, I'm coloring that in black. And I'm being careful not to get any black outside of the lines, in his teeth, or on his tongue. There we go. That looks really cool. Now I've got my blue, and I'm basically going to color his whole body and his arms blue, and I'm just going to be careful not to get any blue inside his mouth, okay? So like I said, what I always do is I outline first, just because it makes it easier for me to see where I want to add the blue. And while I'm at it, I'll just do his little arm, okay? Do the little squiggly areas down here too, right away. You can color it in any way you want. If you wanted to make a monster pink, like this one, if you had decided to make it pink, you could have given her eyelashes, because pink would be a lady monster, maybe. Or orange, that would be a nice monster color too. Okay, now I'm going to start very gently and slowly filling in the color, because like I said, I have old markers and they dry out really fast. I don't want to run out of color. I think our monsters are looking really, really good. What do you guys think? I forgot to outline the mouth for myself, because I don't want to get any blue into the tongue. If I get blue in here in the black, it doesn't matter, because see, it doesn't show over black, but it will show over the red. There. And also, don't want to get any blue in the teeth. There, now I know where to color in. I really like this blue color. It's kind of a turquoise color. Looks really pretty. Ooh, he's looking good so far. This guy reminds me a little bit of, there's a movie, I think it's called Monsters. I never saw it, but I remember seeing the movie poster. Did you guys see that movie, Monsters? I remember on the movie poster that there was a monster and he had one eye. I think he had one eye. I should watch that movie. I think it's a Disney movie. I love Disney movies. Or maybe it's some other company. I don't know, but it looked like it was a lot of fun to watch. I just never got around to watching it. All right. Look at my monsters. I love it. I love it. This is so much fun. How are you guys doing? Do you like your monsters? Do you like how colorful and happy they are? I hope that you're enjoying yourself. Well, I'm done, so I'm going to sign my work, and I want you to always sign your work, my friends. I want you to be very, very proud of the work of art that you just created. You're very talented, you're learning how to draw, you're learning about colors, you're learning about this kind of stuff, letting your marker dry before you erase. I hope that you're having a wonderful time. And remember to mom and dad, if you post your kids' art on Instagram, don't forget to tag me. The link is in the description below or in the About section of my channel. So we'll see you next time on Monsters and Legends. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.